Good evening, everybody. Madam Clerk?
This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10:4-6 et sec, notice of which was sent to the record in the Star Ledger and was posted on the municipal bulletin board.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Here.
Councilmember Sims.
Here.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Here.
Mayor LaBrus.
Here. Would everybody please rise for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I do have one proclamation I'd like to read tonight. Whereas May is Immigrant Heritage Month, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. And whereas generations of immigrants from every corner of the globe have built our country's economy and created the unique character of our nation, and whereas immigrants continue to grow businesses, innovate, strengthen our economy, and create American jobs in the city of Hackensack, and whereas immigrants have provided the United States with unique social and cultural influence, fundamentally enriching the extraordinary character of our nation, and whereas immigrants have been tireless leaders not only in securing their own rights and access to equal opportunity, but have also campaigned to create a fairer and more just society for all Americans. And whereas despite these countless contributions, the role of immigrants in building and enriching our nation has frequently been overlooked and undervalued throughout our history and continuing to the present day. Now, therefore, I, John P. LaBrus, Jr., Mayor of the City of Hackensack, along with other members of the City Council, do hereby designate June 2016 as Immigrant Heritage Month in the City of Hackensack. So, this country was built by immigrants, and basically we all come from immigrants here, and it's a pleasure to read that proclamation. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of April 27, 2016.
Offer.
Second.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
I was here for,
You were here for the opening part.
For the
only thing
opening
you weren't
portion.
here was the public comment.
I wasn't here for public comment, so I would say aye. Now I need approval for the cow and the regular minutes of May 3rd, 2016.
Councilmember Sims, you were absent for that one.
Offer.
Need a motion. Thank you. Need a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Thank you. City Manager's report.
Certainly, item number one is just conferring the Presidential Proclamation, Peace Officers Memorial Day, and Police Week, which started on May the 15th through the 21st. Our president has asked us to recognize the peace officers or the police officers that nobly serve us each day, and remember those who have paid with their lives serving the public in their capacities, and to move our world towards a more just and safe tomorrow. Item number two, please check out our website for our schedule for Movies Under the Stars. Starts on May the 19th at the Atlantic Street Park. It's Independence Day, the movie. It starts at 8:30. Number three, the Moving Wall. The celebration starts on May the 19th, 5:30 p.m. over Peck Park. And the Moving Wall will be there from May 20th or May 19th through the 23rd. It'll be viewable from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's based on Military Appreciation Month, and it's recognizing our servicemen who serve us and have ultimately sacrificed their lives for the freedom of this country. Youth Government Day is May 26th. Our department heads, City Council, those of us that are available will be assigned students for the morning. They will learn what government does, We'll try to encourage them to get involved in government, to look for careers. And if they don't choose to do that, they will at least have an understanding how government works and how they can get things done. Mayor, that concludes the city manager's report for May 17th, 2016.
Thank you. Moving forward, Resolution 193-16.
This is a resolution for final adoption of ordinance number 20-2016, an ordinance to amend Part 2 entitled General Legislation, Chapter 170, entitled Vehicles and Traffic of the City of Hackensack Municipal Code to amend Section 49.2 entitled Parking for the Handicap. This ordinance has been advertised pursuant to law and now calls for a public hearing.
May I have a motion open to the public, please?
Offer.
Second. Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. At this time, anybody from the public who would like to speak on this ordinance, and this ordinance only, please come forward. Seeing no one from the public, motion to close to the public.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Motion to adopt.
Offer.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Hackensack County of Bergen and State of New Jersey that ordinance number 20-2016 has passed its second and final reading and is hereby adopted.
Thank you. Resolution 194-16.
This is a resolution for final adoption of ordinance number 21-2016, an ordinance to amend Chapter 49 of the revised general ordinances of the City of Hackensack entitled Alcoholic Beverages to amend Article 1 entitled Licensing and Regulation. This ordinance has been advertised pursuant to law and now calls for a public hearing.
May I have a motion to open to the public, please?
Offer. Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Anybody from the public who'd like to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance only, please come forward. Seeing none, motion to close to the public.
Offer.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 195-16.
You need a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, motion to adopt. Moving forward too fast.
Offer.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Hackensack County of Bergen and State of New Jersey that ordinance number 21-2016 has passed its second and final reading and is hereby adopted.
Thank you. Resolution 195-16.
This is a resolution for final adoption of ordinance number 22-2016, bond ordinance providing for the acquisition of riparian rights by and in the City of Hackensack, in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, appropriating $1,650,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,570,000 in bonds or notes of the city to finance part of the cost thereof. This ordinance has been advertised pursuant to law and now calls for a public hearing.
May I have a motion to open the public, please?
Offer. Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. At this time, anybody from the public who'd like to speak on this ordinance, in this ordinance only, please come forward. Seeing none, motion to close to the public.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Need a motion to adopt?
Offer. Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Hackensack County of Bergen and State of New Jersey that ordinance number 22-2016 has passed its second and final reading and is hereby adopted.
Thank you. Resolution 196-16.
Is a resolution for the introduction of ordinance number 23-2016, an ordinance amending Part 2 entitled General Legislation, Chapter 170, entitled Vehicles and Traffic of the City of Hackensack Municipal Code to amend Section 50 entitled Schedule 1, No Parking.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye.
Be it resolved that the above ordinance being ordinance 23-2016 as introduced is now passed on first reading, and that said ordinance shall be considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on June 14th, 2016, at 8:00 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the City Council, and at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance, and that the city clerk be and she is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance according to law, with a notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Thank you. Resolution 197-16.
This is a resolution authorizing refunds for the Hackensack Recreation Department.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer.
Second. Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 198-16.
This is a resolution authorizing a tax appeal attorney to settle the cases on the attached list dated May 17th, 2016, that were scheduled for trial or settlement.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer. Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 199-16.
Another resolution authorizing a tax appeal attorney to settle the cases on the attached list dated May 10th, 2016, that were scheduled for trial or settlement.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer. Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 200-16.
The resolution increasing and not to exceed amounts for certain city professionals.
May I have a motion, please?
Second.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
I did.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 201-16.
This is a resolution for authorization for the tax collector to prepare and mail estimated tax bills in accordance with PL 1994 C-72.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer. Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 202-16.
This is a resolution awarding the bid contract for radio repair and maintenance.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer.
Second. Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 203-16.
This is a resolution for authorization for accrued time payout of $107,659.43 to Police Officer William Englima.
Motion, please.
Offer.
Second. Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 204-16.
A resolution for the authorization for accrued time payout of $62,704.98 to Police Director Michael Mordega.
Have a motion, please.
Offer.
Second. Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 205-16.
This is a resolution for award of contract for architectural services for Johnson Park Sports Facility.
Have a motion, please.
Offer.
Second. Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
I'm gonna be able to answer the question?
In the public session, ma'am.
Okay. For this one? Okay.
And you can, in the public session, you can speak about anything, but
Okay, but I want to specifically.
but not during a resolution, only during the amendment, the adoption of an ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Mayor, I'm sorry, Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 206-16.
It's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hackensack authorizing the settlement of litigation entitled Moises Flanagan versus City of Hackensack et al., Superior Court of New Jersey, Bergen County Law Division, docket number BERL 11902-14.
Have a motion, please.
Offer.
Roll call. I'm sorry. Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 207-16.
The resolution for payment of bills.
Have a motion, please.
Offer.
Second.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Before we go, anybody else need anything pulled on the consent agenda? I do need Resolution 211-16 pulled and done separately, please. We can do that first.
And then, the new one would be number
214,
We'll do that one separate also.
okay?
214.
That's the one that you received in your packet with no number,
Okay.
but it would be number 214.
Right.
Okay, the following items are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda, and consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes, including any exceptions and/or additions. The consent agenda consists of Resolution 208-16, a resolution authorizing a person-to-person liquor license transfer, Thai Chef Riverside LLC to Big Al's LLC. Resolution 209-16, a resolution authorizing reappointment of special officers Class 2. Resolution 210-16, a resolution authorizing appointment of special officers Class 2 to attend Passaic County Police Academy. Resolution 212-16, authorizing the mayor as the signatory for treatment works approval permit for 380 and 390 Hackensack Avenue, blocks 504.02, lot 12.2. And Resolution 213-16 for resolution authorizing person-to-person and place-to-place liquor license transfer of JAG 77 LLC to American Multi-Cinema, Inc.
May I have a motion for the consent agenda as read?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Now we need Resolution 211-16.
Resolution 211-16 is a resolution authorizing raffle licenses for Hackensack University Medical Center Foundation.
Have a motion, please.
Offer.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
No, with an explanation. Being that we only received one applicant on this resolution for this,
No, this is the raffle license, Deb.
oh,
That one's next.
This isn't-
This is 211, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
oh,
you're
I'm
thinking
sorry.
of 214.
I'm sorry. I'm
That's all
sorry.
right.
I'm sorry. Okay. Jumped the gun.
A or nay?
Yeah.
Yay.
A.
I recuse myself.
Yes.
Mayor LaBrus recused.
Resolution 214-16.
All right. This is the one.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
That was the one that we announced that I had put over there. I don't know if there's any more left. It didn't make the agenda.
What's the title, Madam Clerk?
This is resolution
Final res-
qualifying professional service provider for a public relations consultant for the city of Hackensack.
All right, we have an intro from the deputy mayor and a second by Councilmember Sims, with ayes for Councilmember Pataglia, Deputy Mayor Canestrino, Councilmember Sims. Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
No, with an explanation. And that is because we only received one applicant for this position. I'm voting no because I think we need to compare, some comparison, in order to make this decision.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. And that is it for the docket. Thank you very much for your patience. And with that, a motion to open to the public.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Good luck, Dave. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Good luck.
Okay. Mr. Sims is leaving the meeting for the public session as he has something to attend to, some personal business. And Sissy, I guess you're next. Please give your name and address to the clerk.
Thank you, Brownita Sissy Sharif, 2nd Street, Hackensack. I have quite a few things I want to address, and I hope I can get answers at the end or the near future. Communication is key. I just wanted to ask, are we getting a new splash pad downtown somewhere? I think something was in the paper the other day. Somebody from
The only
community
mention, one's in Carver Park, which you know about. The
Yeah, I
only
know
other
about that
one
one.
mentioned was possibly Stuyve Park in the future,
A
but
possible, okay.
Possible.
I just would like to say, as I know, just piggybacking off what Deb said a couple weeks ago, it would be nice if the recreation board would have known, because it was in the paper and I didn't know it, and somebody from the community had asked me.
well, there's
about it.
nothing, it's only been up for discussion.
I
There's
know, but
been
it is
no-
it's like part of rec information, so it'd just be nice if we're, informed. The splash pad at Carver Park is coming along nicely. I go down there and watch them as they build, so the construction is coming on very nicely. Now, my concern is this: have we had full testing down there at Carver Park, the environmental, lead, radon, etc.?
I would defer to the city manager and the engineers.
In regards to what?
Carver Park, the ground, the building, because I know when I ran a camp out of there a few summers ago, we had asbestos in the building. We didn't find that out until we had one of our inspectors come in. So the environmental...
Who had an inspector come in?
We had one of our state inspectors come in to inspect the building that we had our children in. This was
Is
before
this
your
a-
time.
If there was asbestos identified, I would assume that this asbestos was abated, otherwise we'd have to close up.
Yeah,
the
it was
building.
taken care of, but it was at the end of our
So-
summer program. We didn't know it was in there. So my question is, and if it hasn't been done, it should probably be done. The environmental lead, all those testings for that park, the grounds, the facilities, should be done.
Why just Carver Park?
Well, I don't know if any other park has it. Carver Park is one of the parks that I monitor, and it's in my area, my neighborhood. So I know that we had a problem down there with the asbestos. So I'm just asking,
I will,
were these tests done?
I will check that, make sure that that was abated properly, which I'm sure it has been.
What, the asbestos?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was at that time, but now I'm asking about the other environmental testing, the lead, the radon. and
Are you
all that
aware
down.
of something? I'm not sure what you.
I don't know if it's ever done. My question is if it's ever been done.
I
and
have
if-
no- I have
Okay,
no
can I get an
knowledge of
answer
that.
to that question? I'm gonna move on because I know I only got 5 minutes.
Right.
I would like to get an answer to that question. For Skeeny Park, I did mention to Pat Ruggiero about grants. The NFL grant, the Major League, and the CDBG grant for help at for Skeeny Park. She asked me to look into it. I don't know too much about grants. I asked Pat to look into it. She told me to come to the city hall to do that also. So I would like to know about those 3 grants to help out specifically for Skeeny Park. We all know that there's a water problem down there. There's drainage, but it's not good drainage. The Toyota building, I believe, does not have leaders and gutters, which makes their water fall into the park. They need to have leaders and gutters. I'm told that they don't. I didn't get a chance to go look, but I'm down there often in the park. I didn't know if Toyota had them or not, but I will double check. But if they don't, they need to tunnel their water someplace else and not in our park. It puts it behind for our kids. They couldn't have their games during that wet season. It was really, really wet, and that adds to it. And we can't put cars before kids. So they need to do something with that water that's pouring into our park. And the grants would help, perhaps like what we have in Johnson Park with retainer walls and building up the turf and the grass down there. We have to do something for these kids. They're very disappointed when they can't have these games, and when it's extra wet because other people want to pour on too. It's not fair to our children. It's not fair to the community. I've seen the kids down there. They adapt. They're all right with what they're doing, but it could be better. That water's crazy down there, as we already know. And some of the Field 7 and all that, Field 2, all of that needs to be built up. The Public Works Department does a wonderful job down there with keeping the grounds clean. I'm gonna move right along. Oh, the building repairs down there in Skinny Park. There's a lot of holes and things that are holding the building up. They don't have the cement. The cement is coming out. There's a lot of mold, a lot of green stuff on the roofs. I did mention that to Pat. That needs to be cleaned. In Johnson Park, there was a lot of graffiti in the men's bathroom. Yes, I do check the men's bathroom also. They took care of that today, actually. So I want to give kudos to Pat for doing that. She took care of that right away. The greenhouse, when I walked through Johnson Park with Dave and Leo about a week or so ago, Leo gave me a lot of information about the park. We talked a lot about the park and upcoming things, and we talked a lot about that greenhouse. I would like to be assigned a person, perhaps Leo, to discuss maybe revitalizing that greenhouse. I have talked to people in the community that are willing to help. I've talked to people at the St. Paul's Lodge. If you can give me another minute, I have their business card. They said they would be willing to help with that project. The turf that's going to be at that dome, Leo, is that turf going to be adaptable for basketball also?
No.
It's not. Why is that? Because I thought it was going to be for all sports.
That's all free, to play basketball. You can play there. You can practice baseball. You can practice.
I know you can
indoor
play a lot of
soccer.
sports, but basketball will be omitted from that dome? Is that what the agreement was?
The
M&M building.
You're gonna improve the M&M building where you're gonna get 2 basketball.
I know that's downtown, but we want to be inclusive. We want to all be together on this
They
thing.
will have to make the floor for basketball in another area, but
In another area of the dome?
No. It's not set up for basketball. That's why we're increasing the amount of
Field
courts at
hockey.
M&M.
Football, practice baseball, indoor soccer, for that kind of sport.
So
Yeah.
all that's going to be adapted for that turf that you're putting on for the soccer field. All those other sports,
They can
that turf
play
that's
there.
going to be put on, because I have a lot of turf pitches, and there is I think there is a turf that you can use for a multi-game court.
All right.
With everything.
Sharif, this
So
should
no-
be done separately, probably with the city manager, as to what type of materials
What
are
type of
being used down
material?
there. Because we can't even answer it right now, because we haven't even taken bids on anything.
Okay, because I saw something on the agenda about the
I haven't
architects.
yet. It's not even designed yet, so.
Okay.
It's a little premature to
So
decide what's
basketball
down
will
there.
be excluded from that dome?
It's not really set up for basketball. It's not a basketball court. We are building more basketball courts in the M&M building.
I know, but it's like a whole bunch of segregation stuff. We want integration. We don't want to say we got to go downtown to play basketball.
Well,
we got
you
to
can't-
go uptown to play soccer and all the other sports. It's not a good look.
Wow.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am, I'm sorry. Sissy,
I know
we
my
have a lot of
time is
people
up.
that need to
But I
speak here.
want-
We're way over 5 minutes.
Okay, I want to give you this card. This is about the greenhouse. So I would like
We've
to have
had many
someone.
meetings on the greenhouse already.
You did what?
We've had many community meetings on the
I
greenhouse
didn't know
already.
that. Okay, but I'd like to
All
be
right.
involved in that.
Can
so
we
I
move
get
forward, please?
information on that.
This woman's waiting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Alexis
evening.
Palinkas, 235 Prospect. Actually, one of the questions was sort of answered. I'd like your responses to the following questions. In light of this whole Dome, Johnson Park rec area, it's a lot of money that's being allotted for this project, correct? One of my questions was about the greenhouse, which is just a treasure, and
Agreed.
hopefully will money from this Johnson Park project go to other things or just to the dome?
The money allocated through the bonding for that is for the sports facility itself, though there is a project underway right now to do something with the greenhouse.
Okay, and what about, has any thought been given to expand parking closer to the fabulous library that we have on Main Street? It gets so underutilized because there's not, don't answer.
Right.
Because I want to get through my questions. A lot of people cannot use it because the parking is so difficult. The lot that's there is far away. Whatever happened to the plans to relocate City Hall and the police department, or renovate the police department? I mean, it's the police department and even this building are really inadequate for a town this size. And I know there was something going on a couple of years ago, and I don't know what happened to that. Also, have you visited the Board of Health offices lately? That is truly an embarrassment to this city. I had to go twice for a license for my cat, and it's such a tiny area. It was jammed full of people. There's not enough room for the workers. there's not enough room for the people. It's an abomination. It's really, it's quite an embarrassment. And what's being done to replace the garbage and recycling trucks? We're putting a lot of money into the Johnson Park thing, which is very valuable, but we have a lot of issues here that I don't see anything moving forward on them. Those are my questions. Now it's your turn.
Okay. Relocating City Hall, I mean, during my tenure from 2009 to now, has been no discussion. I think we might be talking about quite a while ago when the
Yeah.
Green Street property was purchased and moving it down there. That's the only thing I can remember as City Hall ever moving. The building's old, it does need some work. It needs a roof, it needs to be, which is getting done, needs to be spruced up inside. I don't disagree with that, but the building itself is in great shape
Beautiful
overall.
building.
It's an historical, iconic building.
Is
and
it big enough?
It can be used. Have been in the health department, certainly not the prettiest, most elaborate decor you could imagine. I agree with you, and that's something I would leave the city manager and his staff to work on. What was the other question, Alexis? I can't remember.
Greenhouse, but that was sort
Yeah,
of
well, the greenhouse, we
answered.
are working with the hospital and some other groups, outside groups, some green groups coming in on some projects to work together with all different types of things to go there, along with some property outside for some outside gardening as
So
well.
it is safe. It is safe for now.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
great,
Yeah,
great.
no, it's not coming down.
Okay, and the other thing was the garbage and recycling
The
trucks.
garbage and recycling trucks, we're moving forward. We had some, there's discussion, we're still in discussion on where we're going with the sanitation right now with the trucks and everything.
A police department.
And the police department, there's been no talk about moving the police department, no.
Well, fixing it up. Yeah,
Well, it could be cleaner, right?
yeah. It really, I mean,
That's more of a housekeeping issue than anything else, I think.
well, I don't know if
Yeah.
do the police officers think that it's
They're gonna
acceptable?
fix the roof.
Which part of the police department are you talking about?
Well, the entrance. I mean, fortunately, I've never been in any other part of it.
You haven't,
but,
you haven't checked the cells out, have you, Alexis?
yeah, but really, I think that our workers, like the health department and the police department, certainly deserve something more than they have. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, appreciate it.
Good evening, Carolyn Davis. First of all, regarding the lead that was brought up, I myself brought that question up several months back. We were talking about building before we even started building in Carver Park. And we brought about possibly buying the house next door to the park. And I was told that that house had lead in it. So this is not the first time this has been brought up, because I brought it up myself. How can you build a splash park if we haven't really found out about the lead, because they're right next door to each other? So I just want to say that that was brought up before. I want to say right now, first of all, as city council people, when you are elected, the people come to the city council members with issues that are important to them. And we want the council members to bring that back to the issue. I want to say congratulations to Deborah Keeling Geddes. I am very happy that she brought back some information. She didn't dream it up. We're the ones who have brought those questions to her about an issue, and her job, and she did it well, was to bring it back to the council. At the last council meeting when I was here, she gave the council a chance to respond to that. When they didn't respond, she did what she felt she needed to do. So I, for one, support her, and I think the people in this room support her also on that. The day before the celebration was held, the day before the celebration, before that captain, I will not remember say his name, I received myself a personal phone call saying that to tell my church members to spread it out to the black community, because this was such an important thing for the black community. The first black captain we ever had, and to spread the word. And we did. And the celebration was had. We came down. As an RN, I had to graduate, but I was not considered a registered nurse till I passed my licensing. And my issue with this whole thing, and I'm not speaking for anybody else right now, I'm speaking for me, but I think we all agree. My issue was a celebration that was held, and we were called, lifted up, and then deflated as a community. Talk about embarrassing and insulting That was embarrassing and insulting. And to the city manager, I have to say this. The public doesn't need to know what provisional means. But whoever made this decision knows what provisional means. At no time when I was called for this celebration was I told that it was provisional. Because had I been told, I would have asked, what does that mean? And when they told me what it was meant, my next question would be, why are you having a celebration? It was only 5-6 weeks later that everything turned around. It could have waited 6 weeks until the final results were in before a whole community was lifted up and then embarrassed. You may not be embarrassed or insulted by this, but our community was very hurt and insulted by this, because it's horrible to have your spirits lifted and then drop like this. Not even for him, but just for us as a people. So I just want to say that tonight, that I heard the comment about provisional, and to city manager, I really owe this to you. This is your question. I don't know who in the city council knew or didn't know, but you were the city manager. You're the one closely connected to the police department. You should have known. And if you say you did not know, there's a problem there. But you should have known it's provisional, and I think the decision to do what was done was not fair to this community. That's all I have to say.
I'm going to let the manager to make sure that this can be responded to on his account.
Who made the phone call to you? Because I didn't leave any press release or anything out.
I can tell you who made the phone call. He's not here. It was a city official. I'll tell you that. It wasn't one of you.
Who was the city official?
Okay, I'll tell you who it was. It was Director Medada.
Okay, thank you.
Sir?
Salvatore Moretti. I'm living in Paramus, New Jersey on Alpine Drive, but I owned Parkwood Apartments for 40 years in Hackensack on Park Street at 391-5 Park Street. There has been a Mount Laurel case which has come up in Paramus for discussion. And the issue there is to produce affordable housing, especially of a regional sort, and 1,000 units of construction has been noted as a possibility for Paramus. Since I operated an apartment owners association in Hackensack for several years, I have spoken to the Paramus Council with regard to that. But when I was born in 1939, 76 years ago, Hackensack was the shopping center of Bergen County. And one item is sort of important. I was looking through a 5-volume treatise on New Jersey, which was published in 1930. It went back to the time when a governor was supplied by the British, who would be governor not only of New York, but New Jersey as well. And there's a rather interesting relationship between the New Jersey and New York legislatures, which is detailed in this rather long and excellent treatise. Inasmuch as I have published a book on Upton Sinclair and Helicon Hall, I have taken some notice in that, and inasmuch as the municipal council is considering zoning some of the 9 malls for affordable housing, it seems rather strange that the Mount Laurel decision by the Supreme Court could be so interpreted as to lure builders to build apartment houses in the parking lots of Garden State Plaza and along the 4 miles, which is prospectively going to be zoned according to the planning board. And since regional housing is the issue of Mount Laurel, I'm bringing this up here in Hackensack. I thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Just a note for the public, each municipality has a Mount Laurel requirement, and it's before the different courts within each county. The city of Hackensack has and will meet its obligation from its regional and prospective need. In fact, we will exceed the number that not only the consultants for a group of communities that have calculated, as well as the Fair Share Housing Council, which is a housing advocate. We have affordable housing in Hackensack. Now, if you're saying that we should take more so Paramus doesn't get more, that's not how this works.
That's obviously not what I'm saying.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about regional need then.
Well, what I'm saying is that you have supplied the regional need, but Paramus has virtually no apartments. So Christie, in fact,
So I guess my question is, how does this impact Hackensack?
I think it should help you because I don't think Paramus is supplying the need that they require. Christie has attempted to shut down the Council on Affordable Housing, and the appellate division has ruled against him in 2014, which I brought up at a Paramus meeting. So there are issues with regard to regional support for affordable housing, and I'm bringing that up in order to assist you. I don't, do you have do you have a question on that?
No, I just not sure that you were making it that we weren't doing our share,
I think you're doing more than your share.
and we're happy to do that.
Fine.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, please.
Ruth Metzler, 463 Washington Avenue. Now, this may be only my complaint or all over the city, but I called for a neighbor of mine who put his brush and little logs cut to size so one man could lift it, tied neatly. Nobody picked it up. That was week 1. Week 2, I called for him. I called the DPW, said, you'll see to it, somebody will surely pick it up that week. Week 3, I called your office, Mr. Trost.
Okay?
You were at a meeting, but someone would get back to me. They never did. But however, on week 3, they did finally pick up the debris. But meanwhile, it laid on the curb, and it was quite a bit. I guess a tree came down. And what are we supposed to do with this?
A tree came down where?
It is supposed to go out with the garbage, picked up on the garbage day. It is yard waste considered. I know they'd left my barrel in front of my house.
I apologize for the inconvenience. I'm glad you called my office because obviously action got taken. I will have to address the sanitation department on responsiveness to calls from the public.
And today was our pickup day again down in south end of Hackensack. I did pick up everything they left behind on the streets of the recyclables. I understand it was windy, but they're younger and they can bend easier than I can to pick up those bottles that are blowing all over the street in front of my house. And they weren't my bottles. Now, I have a question that came to my mind in this rainy stuff and all. We have a problem with plastic bags, I understand, all over the place. What is going to happen with the rubber gloves that I watched going down the sewer? Are they going to cause a problem? So many people, I see the mechanics are using, gardeners are using, and
They end up in our rivers.
And they end up in the river. I mean, is this a problem?
People
looking
need to
happen,
be
but
responsible,
sending
just like if they throw a Coke can out or a plastic water bottle. It comes down to personal responsibility that unfortunately today we don't respect the place we live in.
but those rubber gloves are gonna be causing a
Yes, they
problem.
will.
John, is there anything the hospital does separate with them, or is there a way of,
All rubber gloves
well,
are,
they take
They're
care of
considered
their own
medical
rubbish
waste.
and
they
everything.
can go in with
their own
medical waste depending on, usually they're put in the garbage
Maybe
can.
there's something could be.
I've never seen them flushed down the toilet or thrown down the sink. You know,
Okay,
they're
it's
trained
your
not to do
problem
that.
now. I said it.
It's the
Thank you.
community's problem.
Next, please.
Good evening, Paul Nichols, Hackensack, Nickels. How are you all? I have to, I'm getting some problems with Bergen County Mental Health Board, so I gotta make it clear, I'm not representing the Bergen County Mental Health Board. This political junk. But I'm gonna read the end of this letter. You all know it's Mental Health Month. And the end of this, I'm going to read you the end of the letter that I'm going to be handing to you guys, emailing to whoever I can. We appeal to you, our elected officials, so please continue to preserve our local system of care and to ensure that every Bergen County resident has access to high quality mental health services and treatment. Anything less will make, quote unquote, stigma free just words on a piece of paper. What this is, I don't know if you all heard, I don't want to dramatize it or sensationalize it. The government wants to change the mental health service billing, where hundreds of thousands of Jersey residents are going to lose their health care. It's very serious. Everybody needs to write a letter, and I learned something last night in the public meeting, that anything less than 20 letters, they don't even look at, the senators and congressmen or whoever it is. But it's very urgent. The way that they're changing their billing, I don't even understand the whole process. But the way that they're billing now is like per unit, and like if I'm a doctor and I see you, I can charge a flat fee, but it's switching over to a Medicaid type billing thing, which is fee for service they call it, which means no go no more. It's going to be a smaller amount, and the service providers are not going to be able to handle it. One mental health service agency who's really big in the state had already said they're cutting out their whole outpatient services, and that it's going to affect just their clients, maybe 5,000. So what that means is, well, all I can say is, what do you think? If someone's that's homicidal, that's on anti-homicidal medication, or someone that's suicidal on anti-suicidal medication, it's just going to be unbelievable what's going to happen if these people cannot get the mental health services that they need. And it's already starting to affect some people, and some people even get kicked off of Medicaid. But I want to end on a good note. Well, I'm going to send this around. This is my only copy right now, but some other people will email everybody too. And if we can get everybody to sign, handwrite one in a similar fashion. And if they want, they can call the county or email the county to find out about what they can do, to see about the legislation, see if they'll even change the idea of these cutbacks. It's what it is, it's cutback, they're cutting back. But what it's gonna do is it's gonna overwhelm the ERs. Bergen Regional's people are flipping out already. Tom Rosamilia, who runs the whole psych building, is nervous about this whole thing. But the ERs are really gonna have the impact, and so are jails, because what are these people gonna do? They're gonna go back to old ways without medication or whatever. But just to end on a good note, I was at the county christening, if you will, was it
Bergen
Meals on
Community?
Wheels
Oh, okay.
of America, and Caesars, I think it's Caesars Resorts, donated a new van for the county for Meals on Wheels.
Nice.
So senior citizens and disabled can now, they'll be able to do more and get more out there. I know that some people have complained about not getting the food on time and stuff, but things will be better. And you can also get pet food. They're going to start doing pet food because a lot of seniors, even disabled, people that are really low income, some people would rather feed their animals than themselves. So now they got a new van, so that's something really good. So you can go to the county website for that, Meals on Wheels. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ingham, before you start, I would recommend that everybody in this room go online, you can contact the governor online. The number is there also to call, and recommend that they do not change the health care for mental health patients. The implications and the ramifications of what it can do could be disastrous, not only to them, but to the community around them. It's very important that these people are cared for. They're on medication, a lot of them for a reason, specific reason, and to take that away from them would be a total travesty. Sorry, sir, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James Irwin, 40 Jefferson Street, Hackensack, New Jersey. Haven't been here in a while. Good to see y'all. Hope everybody's doing well. I got a text message from Councilman Sims. I see that they're going to have the dedication of the ceremonial renaming of Sissy Braithwaite in the first week of June.
June 4th?
I may not be able to be there, but my thoughts will be there, and I thank the council for doing that. At the same time, we'll say it took a longer time than maybe I thought it should have took. She was a beautiful person, but you're doing it nonetheless, so I thank you for that. I want to read a statement. Like I said, I haven't been here. I don't know. I'm a little late to the meeting. I've been doing some things, but I just want to read this statement. I don't know if folks know, but one of Hackensack's residents will become the newest president of Texas Southern University. Dr. Austin Lane graduated, I think, 1989. I graduated in 89 from Dwight Morrow. I'm from Inglewood, but I know the gentleman well. We were in sports together. He was a great resident, and he's become a greater person since he's left here. But give me 1 second, I'll pull this up. I'm sorry.
Would you repeat his name again, please?
That's Austin. Dr. Austin A. Lane was named Monday night, that's yesterday, as the sole finalist to become the 12th president of Texas Southern University. That is in Houston. The Board of Regents, which he was formerly on, engaged in a dedicated and thorough search for outstanding candidates, and Dr. Lane was clearly the right man at the perfect time in Texas Southern's existence. We look forward, Mitchell said, receiving the benefit of his strong and progressive leadership to move TSU to the next level in higher education. Texas Southern is a historically black college university. Lane has served as executive vice chancellor of Lone Star College since January 2015. Lone Star College is the junior college network for Texas, right? That's the state. His plan for TSU includes strengthening student recruitment and enrollment and focusing on retaining students throughout a 4-year graduation plan. Another major priority is keeping TSU strong and independent and maintaining its stature as a premier HBCU. Dr. Lane plans to maintain his passion for student academic productivity and growth and wants to produce graduates who will be prepared for the global workplace at point of graduation. Dr. Lane replaces Dr. John Ruley, who has served since 2008, who was, pretty much forced out. So I think Hackensack should be very proud of that.
Absolutely.
Now, I was born and raised in Inglewood, and for me, Inglewood, Teaneck, and Hackensack are pretty much one town, even though they have some differences. Growing up in Inglewood, we had people that looked like us in various positions, in positions of authority over us, in positions of, like yourself, councils, mayors, police chiefs, fire chiefs, principals, for years. Like 30 years ago, there was black principals and black folks in charge. With that being said, I think that what happened to the lieutenant, who I do not know, but have read about and have been told about, and was happy when I saw that he was being promoted. I don't know why it took so long for someone of color to attain such a position in a town such as Hackensack, which is diverse, is very diverse. But I don't know why it took so long for someone to attain such a position and didn't have it, yanked from under him, regardless of how it happened. It just really adds to the disdain that not me, but the people that are from here and live here, right? And for folks to not have, for folks like yourself who were in charge and didn't really have anything to say about it or didn't communicate it well or whatever the case may have been. As someone who, I was a candidate for the fire department some years ago, and I was pushed off, right? I was kicked off the list for things that may have been beyond my control. I think it was basically an oversight. But my point is this: for a town to have so many African Americans, black people, people of color, and for there not to be as many people in important positions over us, you're either not recruiting, you either don't care, or you're either suppressing folks to become a part of their community. And when people call me and say, Jim, I got pulled over in Hackensack and the cops did this and they gave me a hard way to go and they talked crazy and disrespected me, there's something wrong here. And if you don't know that, then that's a problem that you either got a bag over your head or your ears closed, because I hear it all the time. I hear cops are hiding out and taking pictures of kids and rustling kids and just being disrespectful.
You're over your 5 minutes.
I appreciate it, and it's wrong, and it needs to be addressed.
I don't disagree with that.
Well, then do something about it.
We were trying to do something about it.
Do something about it. Be aggressive and be proactive and do something about it.
Reverend Jackson, how are you?
Hello, how are you? Good evening. Greg Jackson, 79 Allen Street, Hackensack. First, I want to just give an announcement related to mental health. The Fellowship of Black Churches of Hackensack is having workshops on May 26th, 27th, and 28th on managing your emotions under pressure. And it's all related to mental health in our community. And so we invite anyone in the community that's right. We're having this film called Call Me Crazy. I don't know how many have seen that film. And then we're having psychologists and et cetera on that Friday night at the Logan Center to unpack mental health issues. So that's an announcement. But the reason I came tonight is I wanted to talk about what happened related to Officer Price. On one hand, it was a wonderful thing for our community in terms of his promotion, and we all came to celebrate it. And on the other hand, it was not necessarily handled in the best. And I think for our community, it's not about Officer Price at this point. It's about our sons and our daughters and those young people who follow him, and for them having a sense that they can achieve just like anybody else in Hackensack. They can become a police officer, or they can become a fire captain, or whatever it is, and they can be in leadership roles as any other citizen of the city of Hackensack. I think what would be helpful for our community, and I understand, there's a lot of finger pointing in terms of, well, this person's fault, and the reason we're in this position is because this person did this and this other person did this. But the fact of the matter is, it happened on your watch. It happened, no matter who, it happened on your watch. I think what would be helpful to the community, Mr. Mayor, is if the council gave a public apology. That we just, and nobody.
We've done that, Reverend Jackson. It was done at a meeting.
Council meetings.
Okay,
I mean-
I did not.
And no one feels
It's
worse about
at
this
council
than we do.
meetings, it's been public apologizing, but
Okay.
I'm gonna speak about it later during
Okay,
my comments.
I did not know that, but at any rate, if you, a public apology
Many
that we
times.
blew it this time, and then we just have to go on.
We had a long conversation, Pastor Jackson.
I'm
You
talking-
and I.
I'm talking publicly. I'm not talking about what we did privately.
Okay.
I'm not talking about what. I'm not talking about what. Well, I'm not talking about.
I'm
what we
talking
did
publicly, because
Second thing. That's the one point.
But no, just hold on 1 second, we'll stop the clock. We did apologize and said over and over how shocked this council was of this result. No one felt worse about this than we did, and we said this at multiple meetings following this, publicly, at the council meeting. And we also spoke about Mr. Price being a very private individual, as we know him.
Yes.
And that we want to respect his wishes, because yes, it is affecting the whole town, not just your community, the whole town, but it's affecting him the most.
Yes.
And our sympathy has to be there to, I believe, to respect what he wants. This council and city manager offered to do whatever Mr. Price wanted. He wanted to appeal this, he wanted to fight it, we're with him 100%. But that's his choice because it's his career, and it happened to him. You know, I know we've talked about this many times, and I cannot convey to you and to everyone here and to anyone who's going to watch this video how sincere we are on that behalf. And we did this with the best intention. I mean, think about
I
it.
understand
Think
that.
about common sense. Is there any reason that we would do this if we had any idea of what the outcome was going to be? And we were, the city was very, very proactive in this. There was interviews by not only our city manager and our HR department. They even brought an independent person in here to conduct the interviews. And Mr. Price came out the best of everyone that was interviewed there. That's what happened. We celebrate at the council meeting. Every police promotion, every fire promotion comes here before the council. It does. And we shake their hands and we acknowledge this has happened because we think it's good for folks to see that and to hear that. And for us to not acknowledge what we thought, and I apologize for us thinking ahead that we were right 100% on this. And I still believe in our heart that he was the right person, and we believed that. So as we celebrated or shook hands and came and had them swear on the Bible for everyone else, if we did not do that for Mr. Price, think about what would happen. If we did not, if we said this is the top job in the whole police department, and we're not going to recognize it, that would be wrong as well. So we did what we thought was the right thing to do.
Okay.
And I'm being very, very sincere, and I hope you can hear that in my voice.
I can hear it in your voice, and all I'm saying is, and I agree with everything that you said, related, and the city manager is right. We had a private conversation. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. What I am suggesting, and what I'm saying to you, is that what you just said in terms of a public apology, it was a wonderful celebration, but we just jumped the gun. That's all. We jumped the gun.
Absolutely.
We jumped the gun in terms of the city. Now, the other thing that I'd like for you to hear some more about is the promotional exam. What happened in it? What's our posture in terms of the civil service, and how did the oral exam take place? And has anybody talked to them? Are we fighting that as a city? You know, and I agree with you with Mr. Price. You know, I've had conversations with him, and he's a private person. All of that. I'm not here talking about Mr. Price. I'm here talking about future Mr. Prices and Miss Prices. And also, I think it would be helpful to us to know how are we as a city fighting and looking into the civil service promotional exam.
Go ahead,
Mayor. When the unfortunate news came out, I contacted the Governor's Council. This is a statewide civil service exam. Had nothing to do with Hackensack, and it was a requirement under the civil service law for the promotion. So Hackensack had nothing to do with administering the exam. People took it from all over the state. I asked the Governor's Council to look into the circumstances of the administration of the oral exam. It was an oral exam. I don't have a response yet, but I will pursue it. And as has already been expressed, we want to respect Lieutenant Price's privacy, but on behalf of the city and the city council, we're not walking away from the situation. But I want to stress, it's a state situation. It's not a city of Hackensack. It's not a county of Bergen. It's the entire state of New Jersey.
And it was more than one person, was it more than one person?
Yeah, a lot of people took the exam.
No, I mean that administered exam. Was it one person administering the exam, or was it a committee of persons? The makeup
I'm not
of that?
going to guess.
Right.
I'm not going to give you an answer to that until I know the answer. So anything I said to you right now would be meaningless because I don't know the answer. But when I do know the answer, I will certainly make it available.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Reverend. Okay. Mr. Williams.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
Council, Mr. Trost.
Mr. Williams.
I filed several complaints with you. I complained. We won't talk about that because you and I had our old session together.
We always talk, don't we?
Yeah, we always talk. But I'm here specifically to add on to what the Reverend said and myself. And I read in the paper about Miss Geddes. I called Miss Geddes personally and I applauded her. But the thing I don't quite understand is Mr. Mayor and Miss Catastrina didn't like what she said. But what happened to freedom of speech? She represents the people. And here, nobody wants to apologize to him in the form of a paper or anything. I don't think that's right. And everybody think that this is just Mr. Price. It's just not Mr. Price. It's all peoples of color. Now, when I say to Mr. Mayor last week, things that he don't know about, I know about them because I've experienced them in the police department in New York. But I keep saying to Mr. Mayor, things are different now. Mr. Mayor's asleep. But Mr. Price, I talked to some police officers here in Hackensack, but people fail to understand here, and I hate to say it from just a prejudice point of view, nobody Caucasian wants to salute a black man. Now, you only had a sergeant here, the only time I ever known, it's been 40 years. Nobody ever got past a sergeant in Hackensack. Has he?
I've only been in Hackensack for about 18 months.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, have anybody got past the sergeant in Hackensack?
Mr. Price was the first lieutenant appointed during this council's tenure.
But when you had everybody here, all the peoples of color came here, everybody was happy. I was happy and surprised, but I knew. And most people that I know from the precincts in New York, whenever somebody gets promoted, they resign or retire because they can retire with a captain's pension or something. But Mr. Price didn't even get a chance. You know what I mean? I don't think it's right. But you said she was politicking. Ms. Catastrina, I read it. You said she was politicking, and she shouldn't have said that. She was speaking for the peoples of the community.
Okay.
Richard Salkin, Hackensack. I want to talk about the police department, but in a slightly different aspect. As a resident, I'm really, really disturbed and somewhat fearful of what you've done in terms of the police department structure. We've had this like 1984 dialogue of, well, we were deleting the reference to the chief of police and then later on the deputy chief because we want to rebuild the department so we can go back to having a chief. That's nonsense. That's double talk. The 800-pound gorilla in the room is you've been parrying what you anticipate in terms of Charles K. Ziza. I said the name. But here's where you've left us. Right now, and I have no disparaging remarks about, I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name, Mr. Akista, captain, but he's at best the third choice. The last time the city had a captain as the ranking officer, what was done, and it was Thomas Padilla, is there was a monitor from the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office. You need to get someone back in here. You need to reach out to the prosecutor's office so someone in law enforcement has the say. Mr. Trost, if the question were planning, I'd be comfortable with you being over the police chief. I'm not comfortable with you now. You seem to be winging it as you go. Now you say the personnel director is in the chain of command with the chief of police. That's nonsense. Human resources has nothing to do with the police department. The fact that Mr. Cumberbatch is a retired captain, well, if he was a retired chief, retired deputy chief, I might be more impressed. This can't go on. You are putting, I believe, the public at risk. Please reach out to the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office. Get a monitor in here, someone who's in law enforcement, so that your captain, if it's rotation, whatever it's going to be, has someone to reach out to who has the experience in law enforcement. That's one thing. That's my main part. The other thing, I was a little offended when I read the article because, John, Ms. Keeling-Geddes decided to go a certain direction. You profess to believe in transparent government. Transparent government is not advising her that she should have gone to the city manager quietly. That's nonsense. Thank you for your time.
Regina DePasqua, Parker Avenue. We got to figure out how this never happens again. With the entire community feels you owe an explanation and an apology, and apparently nothing you've said so far has satisfied them. And basically, how, you know, when you ask who made the phone call, what does it matter? Because the event wouldn't have been happening unless it was approved by up here, okay? So that doesn't matter. So you were deflecting, okay? And you deflect, and that has to stop. I applaud Ms. Keeling-Geddes for asking out loud publicly, because at that meeting, Mr. Salkin and I both asked out loud. Now, all I got was, well, we thought it was going to work out the way we thought it was going to work out. That was the answer we got. Nobody has said, I thought it was a good idea to do it. I'm sorry I was wrong. Nobody has said it was me that, you know, and that's kind of what people want to hear. Like, was it a consensus? No, you know, the understanding of provisional, not provisional. I didn't know that night. I don't know who knew it that night. Some of you say you knew it. A lot of us didn't know it, and we were here. So it damaged things. It did damage things, and that's going to have to be fixed. And that is part of the reason why I also do not have confidence in the structure you have right now, which I don't know what it is, because according to a Record article, you have hashed out a new table of organization for the police department, but it hasn't been shared publicly. Because transparency, it would have been shared publicly rather than just a statement in a newspaper article. We deserve to know what the new table of organization is for our police. This is our public safety. This is the men and women who go out there and put their lives on the line. We should take care of them. We should not hurt them. We should not embarrass them. And we should be good to them. And we deserve to know how that is happening, because it's our lives on the other end of it. And it's not been transparent. And it's clear that it's not, because it's all muddy and nobody knows what's going on. So I don't know why there would be a new table of organization without it being made public. Also, there was an article in the Dispatch regarding the public relations firm, which this ordinance doesn't have an amount, how much we're paying them, that this guy is, what is it, Vision, whatever, is looking forward to the rebirth of Hackensack, which basically the development. That's what they're being hired for, from what that article says. But why is there no amount in the contract? Because he said, the gentleman from Vision says, if our firm is offered a contract, he said he met with people in this article, city officials. Why is there not an amount in there? Also, I have a question. I saw that liquor license, JAG 77, be transferred to the movie theater. That's probably going to go into Saks, I believe. I was kind of hoping a kid-friendly movie theater, not one that serves liquor, but this is what's happening. However, I don't know if you remember, a few weeks back there was a car fire up there on the top level parking lot. I understand their fire trucks had trouble getting there. I would certainly think twice before allowing a movie theater there if our fire trucks had trouble getting up there. And like I said, I'm not real happy about the movie theater. I know that is the latest thing, serving alcohol, but we need something for our kids. And a movie theater that serves alcohol is not for our kids, okay? One more question. We're not putting money out for garbage trucks. Are you going to privatize sanitation? And I would like an answer to that.
I wouldn't, that's speculative. I mean, we would look into privatization if we were going to save the taxpayers' money by doing so. It's our fiduciary responsibility to try to save the taxpayers' money on our sanitation department, especially considering some of the situation we're in with our aging fleet and everything else. But we would have to get numbers, we'd have to get bids and find out what everything is. So for us to say we're going to do it, we couldn't give you an answer.
Are you looking to do
I would
it?
definitely look into it. I've been thinking about it for years, absolutely. Is it part of our job is to try to save money for the city?
How about the people from the city that work there?
They would also
Isn't-
be,
don't
they
you-
would also be available, the jobs would be offered as part of a deal to them.
All right, it's just the whole lack of transparency. The total lack.
Mrs. DePasqua, that's not something that gets discussed out here.
No,
okay?
it's not just that. It's everything in total.
Okay.
Okay? And if you would give me just a little bit extra time as you've
I
done.
will give you
to-
1 minute, as you complained before about the other person.
Okay, because yes, you set the precedent, okay?
And I'm giving
of
you a minute.
allowing. What about the table of organization?
Come by my office, I'll be happy to get it.
No. It should be public. I shouldn't have to privately come to you. That is not transparency.
It lists an officer in charge of uniformed services, an officer in charge of investigative services, and it lists different ranks. It does not have individuals in any of those positions, because that's not what a table of organization is. And do you really think it's good police
Do not
protection?
yell at me. Do not yell at me.
Is it you really
Do
think?
not yell at me.
Stop.
Your attitude, your tone.
All right,
You really
that's it.
think
Time-
it's
Mr. DePasqua, your
Excuse
time is
me.
up.
Your tone, sir. Your tone.
Your-
You set the
your-
tone for
your
all
tone.
of
Excuse
this.
me, enough.
You set
Drop
the
it.
tone for all of this.
Drop it.
It's on you. No, a table of organization. I did not ask for names. I did not ask for names. You misinterpret a lot of stuff.
Blanche
Next,
Stewart,
please.
Hackensack, New Jersey.
Good evening, Ms. Stewart.
Good evening. I was standing back there and several things came up as I heard the people speak. The last one was the sanitation department and privatization. Earlier, someone spoke about minorities and people of color working in positions in the city. Sanitation is probably one of the biggest departments where we should be employed throughout the city. So if you think about privatizing the city, you're probably getting rid of 99% of people of color who work for the city. So I think you should take that into consideration. Yes, it happened. We've had the discussion before. It's come before this board, not this council, but past councils before. And if you decide to privatize that way, even though you're telling us they have the opportunity to apply for those jobs, you really ought to reconsider that. Two, the public apology. The newspaper had 2 articles. One lauding how he was promoted to this position. That was public. The second one was how he was demoted. But the community, I know you've apologized here, those things were in the paper, and I believe the community should be apologized publicly in the paper. And I've heard you apologize here. I've also heard you speak about, well, the officer doesn't want to hear, he just wants to leave it alone, but that's the officer. Now we're talking about the community as a whole. And I do believe that the public apology should be in the paper. Third thing I wanted to know, and I heard the attorney say that it is a state situation. I just want to know, during the oral part, who participates in that oral part? Or do you know who participated in that
We're
particular
still,
case.
I believe we're still
That's-
awaiting.
I asked that exact question. I do understand that it was a different oral exam than has been given in the past, and I've asked. Keep in mind, folks, this was a statewide exam. I don't know how many, perhaps hundreds of people took it.
The only reason I ask that
Yeah.
is because oral exams are not objective, they're subjective. And it may depend on who is on that committee who
It
gave
was,
the oral exam.
here's
So
what I
that's
was.
why it's really important to know
Here's what I
who
have
was.
so far, and please do not hold me to this. It's a little scary to me. I understand there was a computer involved. And I will, as soon as I find out more, I will certainly, look, I'm a lawyer. You know, how do you become a lawyer? You take a bar exam. And bar exams are statewide exams. This was a statewide exam. I'm sure everybody here wishes it were a locally administered exam, but it wasn't. This is a civil service community. We must abide by the civil service laws, and it's a statewide exam. I will find out everything there is to find out about it, and I will share it with anybody that wants to know about it.
Okay.
Okay?
I just want to make the point that, and I want to take this extra minute, that years ago the Supreme Court was all male and all white. We don't know the makeup, and so they saw things differently from the rest of the entire community. They saw it from a white male perspective. So if we don't know who was on that committee who were making those subjective decisions, we really need to know. We really need to know, because it may have been a different outcome. But finally, I do think that this council should apologize to the community publicly as those articles came out publicly. And I know you expressed your disappointment with the way it came out, but I think it needs to be done publicly in a newspaper. Thank you.
Tony Jackson, 350 Passaic Street, Hackensack. Many of the things that I wanted to speak about have already been discussed, but I want to ask you directly. The quality that I look for in leadership is integrity. I'm not questioning your character. Integrity is based on giving the truth. As Reverend Jackson mentioned, he didn't know that you had made an apology. My question to you, why haven't you made an apology in the paper?
The paper was here every time we apologized.
Yeah.
The Bergen Record was here every time we apologized if they didn't put it in the paper. I understand you want a separate press release maybe for the paper is what you're asking for.
Listen, well then there's something wrong with the Bergen Record if they didn't put it in the paper. But really the problem is with the persons I'm looking at now, you should have gone beyond to let us know that you apologize for what was done. The other issue that I have is they mentioned somebody jumped the gun. And people did this. Who jumped the gun? And how do we avoid you jumping the gun again? We need to hear from you.
Okay.
And so maybe you can answer it now. Who jumped the gun?
In our form of government, would you please explain the provisional appointment, how it works?
I will do that at the end.
You do it at the
When
end?
he's done. Yes.
All right, he's going to do it during public comment from the council at the end.
He's going to explain who jumped the gun?
How it works in the city of Hackensack.
I think it's already been reported.
Well, it will be explained to you, Mr. Jackson.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Good evening, Bart Haverty, 283 Berry Street, Hackensack. I would like to second all the comments regarding Lieutenant Price and the police department. I'd like to add to them. As most of you know in the council, I've served in law enforcement for 25 years. I retired at the command level. And I must tell you, your police department, our police department, is in trouble. It's in deep, deep trouble. I don't know a single person on the police department, and I don't have to. It's in trouble. And the reason that it's in trouble is a lack of leadership. It's a lack of leadership at the police department because we don't have one individual leading the way. Secondly, it's in trouble because there's been a lack of leadership from the governing body. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it was part of your campaign promise to fix the police department. And it hasn't happened. It's gotten worse, folks. And this is just another symptom of it. The last council meeting, Deputy Mayor spoke about it was always our intent to have a leader from within, to promote from within. What is the policy on promotions? Excuse me. What is the policy? And what are we doing to groom future leaders? Is there anything being done about that? And
You
that's
want an
pretty
answer
much it.
now or afterwards, Mr. Hamady?
Mayor, you can do it at your leisure.
Well, just
But,
because
you
there's
know,
an
but
answer.
These are really important issues,
Mhm.
because as I see it, the police department's not going to get any better without leadership. You have to have leadership. You know, you're the mayor.
Right.
Mr. Trost, Judge Carver, it's all about leadership. Everything boils down to that. And it's just a real lack of it here. These young men, they put their lives on the line every day. Mistakes are made, it's going to happen. But there's got to be somebody there who's going to lead them and guide them to protect all the people here. We don't have that. Mr. Salkin spoke about it. There's not a lot of things I agree with Mr. Salkin about, but he's 100% correct about this one. I wouldn't bring the prosecutor's office in here at all. I don't trust him anymore. There's a big problem here. It can be solved, but it's going to take leadership from the governing body. Mr. Trost, specifically you, because you're the city manager. If you need any help, I'll help you.
My door's always open to talk.
Thank you for your time.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Jeanette Lane, 241 Hamilton Place here in Hackensack. And there was two things, but mostly in support of the situation with Lieutenant Price. But what has been said, and I know that our mayor and council will think about doing the right thing. The second thing is there was a gentleman up here a little while ago, I'm sorry I didn't get the name, but he spoke on Dr. Austin Allen
James Ingram.
Lane. I am his aunt.
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
Austin attended the schools here in Hackensack, beginning with Fannie Hillers, the middle school, and graduated in, in 89, 1989. And I am requesting for consideration for the city of Hackensack to possibly do a proclamation or a resolution to be sent to him to show that, number one, God first, number two, with his efforts, and number three, with the city of Hackensack education at that time, made him what he is today.
What about his family like you?
I'm sorry?
What about his family like
Well,
you?
his father was a football player here. He was very much into sports. I am still a product of Hackensack, a former correction officer, now retired, came out on a civilian basis. and my children and attended Hackensack. We're like the fifth or sixth generation here. So if that can be considered, we would be very much appreciated.
Absolutely. At this
Okay.
time, I will direct the clerk to please, if you could get the information, if you leave your information so she can get some information on Austin, or Dr. Lane now.
Yes,
And,
most certainly will.
Yeah, if I may, if he's coming to visit in Hackensack and we could coordinate it, if he, even if we do it ahead of time and then he's coming and we could present it to him here, it would be a meaningful thing for us as well. Just let us know, when
I
next
will
time
ask.
he's coming this
He
way, we can work it out if
He
it
was
works out.
just here and surprised me. I was sitting in church and had to control myself because I get a text to say, I'm outside. Auntie, I'm outside. So
That's
I
a
don't
nice
know when
surprise.
he's coming again. He's just getting,
Absolutely. But if
I
it
definitely
should
will
work out, you let us know.
I definitely will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich Serbo, Hackensack. Look, I don't want to inflame the talk on race any more than it has, but in 1955, right here on Main Street, near 210 Main, which is the famous early big building in Hackensack, arguably the greatest baseball player to ever live, Willie Mays, could not eat lunch in a frigging luncheonette in 1955. So let's put Hackensack into perspective. There was always a problem here, okay? So 1955, I was a kid on Main Street. He couldn't eat lunch on Main Street, okay? So let's start with Mr. Trost made a comment about the military. I think it was some kind of praise or something like that. And look, we love our guys, no question. There's no question about it. But, one of my heroes wrote a song in the 70s. His name was Graham Nash. And he said, military madness is killing my country, okay? And it is, all right? So keep that in mind, Mr. Trost.
That was the president's proclamation.
Yeah, well, good for him, okay? He's forced to say those things, okay? Okay. Thank you. Look, the American dream now is really been hijacked by, like, this group of developers, lawyers, excuse me, guys, and PR people. I mean, they've taken over everything. There's no more American dream, okay? So get that in your gut, okay? Let's go to a few people from the past. H.L. Mencken, the sage of Baltimore, once mentioned that America is made up of three groups and it'll never change. Plutocrats, a huge segment of people that are demagogued, okay, and a small intelligentsia kind of precariously having a rough time with their existence, okay? So those three groups still exist in this country and it'll always be like that, okay? And it leads me to Emerson's quote about money. And he said, money's not everything, but when you have it, it's as sweet as roses, okay? And everybody's inebriated by all this freaking money, but they're not helping any of the poor people with that money, okay? They're helping themselves with it. So, and look, John, you've been a supporter of the developers, the lawyers, and the PR people. So you're thwarting the American dream, okay? So let's talk about money again, okay? Why can't we do things in this town? We're here on a local level to create some friggin' jobs, okay? Why not bring in some light manufacturing so guys can find jobs? You've said nothing about jobs. You're giving tax breaks to developers, John, and you haven't done a thing for people who are struggling, okay? You side with the plutocrats, with the rich, because you want to go that way, okay? And the middle class is inebriated by that. They're sickened with that. They ought to look backward and try to help some of these people that are having a tough time here. It starts here, John. Everything is local, all right? So, look, this dome thing. Look, Rutgers canceled their tennis program. They closed the library just so they could build another football stadium or some kind of crap like that. So it's spreading around. Sports is taking over. We don't need a dome, okay? And you're spending too much money on that stuff. Someone came past me today on Main Street and they said, hey, they're going to try to make Main Street two-way again. He said, oh, I remember that, I was there. He said, but we can't bring that back, he said, that's gone. And I said, thank you very much, because it is gone, and you're trying to go backwards with that stuff, John, just to get some praise that you're fixing up Hackensack. I can't stand it anymore, okay? So thank you very much, all right?
Excuse me, Ms. Haverty, I have to respond to that before you come up, if you don't mind. Yeah, there were some accusations made there that I feel I need to address. Sorry for the cutting in on Ms. Haverty. The redevelopment he's talking about and these pilot programs, which, by the way, we've only given 2 so far since we're here 3 years, tax abatements, it's a payment in lieu of taxes. What they do is, and I'll take an instance, 94 State Street, which is now open. For some of your information here, that property was paying $75,000 a year in taxes, all right? It was blighted. It had been sitting there for 10 years doing nothing. A developer came along. It wasn't even this council, it was the last council. It was done in 2012. Gave them a pilot program to build that building, and that building now pays $270,000. The first year, it'll pay $275,000 a year in taxes. So by luring somebody in with a little tax break, they increased the value of $200,000 a year to the city, which was a tremendous advantage for us. At 30 years, but there's a formula involved. I'll go to 150, 170 Main Street, where a whole city block has come down. Guys, our only resource in this city is, you have to realize, we're not Wayne. We don't have a lot of open space property where we can be building developments. There's just doesn't exist. Our gem is our Main Street and our downtown, which has declined through the years. When the malls opened, our Main Street, we all know the story, declined. Hackensack was the place to be back in the 60s and 70s. For those of you that don't know, all the shopping was here, the movie theaters, everything was here. It's an old story. Bringing it back by putting people on the street is our way to bring Hackensack back, basically. You're sitting there, we're talking about putting 2,000 people on Main Street, along with old retail on the bottom level. This is happening, folks. You got developers bringing in millions and hundreds of billions of dollars to accomplish this. They wouldn't be doing it if they didn't believe it. And what this does for you, he says, how does it help the poor person? Well, this is the tax difference. 150, 170 Main Street was how much? 300,000?
Was under that, a little under, like 280.
Was paying about $280,000 a year in taxes. It will now pay close to $900,000 a year in taxes. No, absolutely not. You had your say. Your 5 minutes is up. I'm sorry. Because you made some accusations. There's towns in the area: Fort Lee, Leonia, Bogota, Jersey City, Hoboken, Ridgewood, Teaneck, Emerson, are all redeveloping their towns. Folks, in order for us to lower your taxes and we have to bring ratables in, and this is the only way we can do it. And to say it's nonsense is ridiculous, Mr. Serbo. It's nonsense. That's why we have over $400 million invested in the city right now from developers. All right, which is going to bring more tax money into this town. But I disagree. As far as the two-way conversion, that's happening as well. The experts will tell you that there is no successful downtown that's one way. It just doesn't exist. So, I'm sorry, Mr. Williams, you cannot speak out. You cannot speak out from the audience. I'm sorry, you had your 5 minutes. Pilot, I'm sorry, a pilot is it means in lieu of taxes. Doesn't mean you're not paying taxes. It's just paying them you're paying money in a different form. It's not standard taxation where a chunk goes to the school, a chunk goes to the city, a chunk goes to the county. There's a whole different formula involved in a pilot program versus traditional taxation. That's what it is.
It's based on their revenue.
And it's based on the revenue. The more they make, the more the city makes. So, Mrs. Haverty, you ready?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Tony Haverty, Berry Street in Hackensack. I just want to say that I was asked to read this by Brother Zach Hauser. He asked me to read this. These are not my words. I'm just reading it because he couldn't be here.
Take a read at the $11 million plan to construct another downtown area in Hackensack in the Bergen Record. The only things not spoken about are the jobs. We want contracts and jobs for the residents of our city. Okay. What are we going to do about these unfair practices taking place right in our faces? As I said in previous commentaries, I've seen a lot of work being done in Hackensack, but I haven't seen one person of color on any construction sites. There's something criminal about that in my thinking, and it's taxation without representation. People of color in Hackensack contribute millions of dollars in taxes, and that money is used to balance the city budget. The contracts come from the budget, and people are hired because of the contracts. We need to put pressure on the city administration to use excellent politics to make sure residents of our city get contracts and jobs. You know what has happened in the past: no jobs for people of color, and that continues right now on May 17th, 2016. Elections are coming up, and if the current administration doesn't make changes so that our daughters, sons work on contracts in our city, we need to vote them out of office. And that's from Brother Zach Hauser. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to answer that?
At the end.
Last but least, Christopher Coley.
Oh, don't say that.
Somebody's behind you.
Oh, okay. Very good. One of the questions I had, has there been any resolution to the scheduling of the use of the new, I'm sorry, soccer dome? I know it's not that. In regards to the different teams in other sports using that, and that the Hackensack children will be priority at all times, not compared to that team from South Hackensack that was gonna renovate 2 fields in Paramus and Patterson, and Patterson found out what was gonna happen, and they threw them out. And another question I have is, we still have never discussed the location and the cost of that new school system, school building that we're talking about, that I'm getting numbers starting at the minimum number of $50 million and better. I know we need one, we all talk about it here, but the last answer I got was my favorite answer: that's up to the Board of Education. Like they have a funding system other than what the city money is. They go out and they have their own tax money. It all comes from one place, comes from here. The next question I had was, instead of getting rid of our sanitation department, that's our recycling department, does our snow removal, instead of building a new basketball and soccer dome, maybe take that $13 million and we can buy a brand new fleet of top-notch trucks and make sure that we don't lose jobs to city employees. The other 2 things is pie in the sky. It's a wonderful idea. It's for the children. Children first. We never had it here before in all the years I've been here. My children were here. It's not a necessity. The school's a necessity, and so is this one. The other question I had was, and I almost got killed 3 times already, who decided to put all those stop signs on the east and west avenues of Anderson Street and all those other streets? They're not even stops. They're 4 ways on streets that prior to that, I never saw a car there in the first place.
On
Why?
Anderson,
Is
you
that
never saw a
traffic
car.
control?
Never saw a car on Anderson Street.
It was in Duncan.
There's a new one there.
I'm saying you never saw cars on Anderson Street.
No, I never saw cars coming out of the side street that needed a 4-way stop. Why now?
A
How
lot
much
of
did
it,
that
a lot of
cost?
it, Mr. Coley, was to prevent the speeding in Hackensack is rampant. Everybody's complaining about it. helps to assist with the speeding because it slows them down. They have to stop, and by the time people come off Linden, by the time they get halfway up to the next stop sign, they're going 40, 50 miles an hour in a residential zone. So this helps to help with the speeding.
In my days as remembering slowing down traffic, there was a cop with a gun. And when you went, the other cop came out, pulled you over and went, speeding, here's your ticket.
They can't be they can't be everywhere at all times. And
Well, we
this
should
is
put them on Route 80 because that will slow down the traffic, won't it? We could put a couple
not
on
a
the
local.
Parkway
That's not a
and
residential
21,
street.
3 and 17. That's about all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Good evening, Kathleen Salvo, 184 Hudson Street. I want to compliment Councilwoman Deborah Keeling for what she did, because we come up here as citizens, we ask questions, we get either blank looks, wrong answers, or no answers at all. And I remember Regina asking what was going to happen, and no answers were given. Again, as was stated, we get the degrees and then we do the positions, then we make the appointments. I'm not a person of color, but I was very embarrassed by what happened, and I take it personally, and I feel for Mr. Price because he's a good person and a good employee of the city of Hackensack for many years. We have a city manager who's supposed to be taking care of our city. We have a human resource person who's supposed to be hiring and firing and promoting people, and based on these two professionals, I think the problem lies with them. Because if you said you didn't know, there's no such thing as provisional. You don't do things like this with an excuse of provisional. And that, I don't know where that came from. That was a poor excuse. But we have had in the past problems with firing people because we didn't do it right. So then we got a human resource person to do it, and we're supposed to do it right. And hiring people to make sure they're qualified, and also promoting people. This was a professional decision, and I blame the city manager. And I told you were a liability from the beginning, and now I have a really bad problem. I have a really bad problem where the direction of this police department's going. It's very scary, and we need a police director. Where's Emil Canestrino, who every time came up here and said, we need a police director, we need a police director, we need a police director? Captain Acrillo is good as in charge of the police department. We need somebody above him. We need somebody to buffer the police department from the city manager, because you're not even available for everyday problems that we have as far as sanitation. You're always at meetings. I think you have an identity crisis because you're the city manager and you think you're the redeveloper person. You can't be both. The city manager needs a full-time person to do that work. It's a big city. It has a lot of problems. You're always at meetings. You're never available. And it's scary. You never get back to people and you're not available. I think we need to get a police director. We can pull one of the people that are retired that knows Hackensack to come in and stand. We don't want the prosecutor's office because when they came last time, they don't know Hackensack, and we had a problem with them. But we need somebody to buffer the police, some direction. Michael did a lot of work here, and it's all going to be in vain if we just let the police department end with Captain Aquila, and the next thing you said that they're going to have to be responsible to talk to you and the human resource person. Who, are you accredited in that? You told us you were accredited with sanitation and it fell apart. You told me you were accredited with the building department and code enforcement that fell apart. What gives you the expertise to develop? Yes, it fell apart. It's been worse. Yeah, it's been our code, our property maintenance is at its all-time low. Garbage trucks, we have these garbage trucks that belong in a museum that if you send them to Cuba, if you send them to Cuba, they would have to be challenging to fix.
The comment before that, because you're the only person to come up here and really beat up on our building and code officials.
Oh yes, our property maintenance is all-time low.
I'm not getting.
It's all-time low. I can show you 100 violations right.
They get
right
4,
off the
5,
bat.
6 people coming, then I start to worry. But
Okay,
you're always
no, but
sustainable.
I know my
for the
codes
record.
and it's really bad. So I need to, it's your responsibility, mayor and council, to get somebody as a new police director to help, to oversee this police department, who will have to answer to Mr. Trost. We can't eliminate a person, because we're in trouble. This police department and the city and Hackensack is in trouble without that person. And thank you, Debbie, for doing this, because we ask questions, we never get answers, and you're a councilwoman, and this is what we need. We don't get answers, we get blank looks, and we get sometimes the wrong answer. So I applaud you for taking that initiative.
Okay. Motion to close to the public?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Sims. Oh, I'm sorry, he's absent. I'm waiting, he's not there. Councilwoman Keeling Geddes.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Okay, Mr. Battaglia, comments?
Well, the only thing that I'm gonna say that we're not perfect, and sometimes we're gonna make mistakes. Me personally, I spoke to Mr. Price, and I respect what he wants. Thank you for coming.
Okay, I'm going to take a break from tonight's topics, if you don't mind, and I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about taxes. You saw that there was a resolution tonight about the estimated tax rate that we passed, if you look through your docket. So I want to go through a few points to make sure that it's clear and that folks understand what these changes are and what they actually mean. I usually don't talk about the Board of Education at council meetings, but I feel obligated tonight because Mr. Nunemacher's statement at the last council meeting that the Board of Education cut taxes by $214. A direct quote, because I hate it when I get misquoted, so his direct quote was, "On the superintendent's behalf, we cut taxes for the average homeowner by $214 under my presidential leadership." Yesterday, my daughter graduated from Rutgers with her master's degree. We're very proud of her. All right? Mr. Nunemacher could say, "Under my presidential leadership, Amy received her master's degree." And I guess it's true. While he was president of the Board of Education, my daughter received her master's degree. But he had absolutely nothing to do with it. And I'm going to explain to you tonight how Mr. Nunemacher and the Board of Education had absolutely nothing to do with the tax cut from your school tax this year in the city. I'm going to read some of this to you if you don't mind, because understanding and trying to explain simply how this works is not an easy task. So bear with me. The good news is, yes, the average homeowner whose house is assessed at $234,000 this year and was assessed at $239,000 last year, so a $5,000 decrease in the $200 range. You will see a tax cut this year of a little more than $200 in both your school tax and your city tax. Yes, I said that correctly. So you'll see a tax reduction this year of a little more than $400 in your real estate tax if you meet that criteria. But this had nothing to do with the school budget, and it had nothing to do with the city budget either. It is based solely on the reassessment that was done of your properties this year. All right. Remember, I've spoken to you many times about all the tax appeals, especially the large one by commercial properties. I told you how the assessed values were out of balance because those that did not appeal did not have their values adjusted. And the ones that did appeal, mainly the large Riverside Squares, Targets, etc., did have their values adjusted. I told you that the city would be doing the 5-year rolling assessments to keep our assessed values current, fair, and to prevent more costly tax appeals. Well, our predictions were correct. And with the conclusion now of this year's assessment, we saw a slight shift from the residential community to the commercial community. And that is what is going to enable this type of a reduction in your taxes this year. This is the sole reason, this is the only reason for this reduction by approximately $400 to the average home this year. If credit is to be given for both of these reductions in taxes, it should lie with the current council, the current administration, and most specifically our tax assessor, because Mr. Carlson was the person who suggested the rolling assessments, and he's the one who has managed its implementation. This announcement tonight of a reduction in both city and school taxes coincides with one of our resolutions, as I mentioned before. The city was waiting to make this announcement for when the tax assessor was ready to release a new estimated tax rate. It's still only an estimate because we do not have the final number from the county, but that is just a small portion of your tax rate, so we feel we're very close. We did have to wait for the Board of Education's final number, which was only filed with us formally last Thursday, hence why it is being brought to you here tonight. But to be perfectly clear, because this calculation is a function of the change in your property's assessed value. This projected reduction will follow that tax relief. So if your property was assessed lower this year, and this is important, everyone can do this. You can go home and you can look at your tax bill. So if what you were assessed at last year and look at what you're assessed at this year, if the value of your home went down, or if it even stayed the same, you are going to see a reduction in your taxes, both school and city. Now, there'll be varying amounts because the more taxes that you pay, the percentage may be a little, the number will be a little higher based on that percentage, etc. But not everyone's went down or stayed the same. It actually worked out fairly equal, almost a third of each. A third of the properties went down, a third of them stayed the same, and a third of them rose. I looked at my tax bill. My property increased in value by $20,000. When I calculate using the numbers, I'm going to see an increase in both my school tax and my city tax. And I accept that fact. I'm happy that my property was valued at a higher rate because that's the biggest investment I have. So I'm pleased to see that it appreciated. So be an educated consumer. We're talking about a lot about transparency tonight, and that's what I want everyone to understand. Because, you know, if Mr. Nunemacher says you're going to see a $214 reduction in your school tax, and you don't, you're not going to go to Mr. Nunemacher and complain. You're going to come to our tax people here and say, hey, how come I didn't get a $214 tax reduction? Look at your numbers, look at what you were assessed last year, look at what you were assessed this year, and follow the guidelines that I'm explaining to you. All right, now to get back to what the Board of Education can control. They can control their budget and the impact of what it has on the tax levy. All right, the tax levy, that's the amount of money that they need to raise from your taxes to support their school budget. So, you know, they go through, the way the process works is they define their budget. Here's the amount of money we have to spend for the year. And then they allocate any other revenue other than taxes. They say, oh, we're getting this much in grants, we're getting this much revenue here. And whatever is left to support their budget, that is what is raised by taxes. And it's the same for the city. The same process pretty much as follows. The city and the school budgets are only about 8% apart. All right, the city's at 100 million, the schools are at 108 million. We presented the city budget and we were proud to keep the increase in the city's tax level to $2.1 million. We presented this to you at budget time saying this could incur an increase of $103 for the average taxpayer because we used apples to apples. If things had stayed exactly the same, we increased the tax levy $2.1 million, you would have had a $103 increase, right? The reassessment came through. That is the only thing that's going to be able to lower your taxes. The school budget's increase to their tax levy was 100% more than the city's increase. Ours was 2.1 million. The schools was exactly double at 4.2 million. So if this reassessment was not done, there would have also been an increase in your school tax. So if in fact, excuse me, Regina, it's my turn. If in fact the tax reduction Mr. Nunemacher spoke of was because they lowered the tax levy. Let's say, for example, he didn't increase it $4.2 million, he lowered it, and that's why you're getting your $214 on an average home. If that happens, that's an easy statement to say and to understand because your property values didn't change. All right, so if he really lowered your budget, everyone would be getting a decrease in their taxes of some amount. Same thing with the city. If we truly lowered our budget, everyone would be getting a reduction, so everyone can understand it. But because this is not based on that, and it's based solely on the assessment of your home, you have to see what bucket you fall into. Did my property go down, stay the same? Yes, I'm going to see a reduction. Did my property go up? I may see a slight increase. These are the facts. These are the facts, folks. All right? We're talking, excuse me, we're talking about transparency. A lot of what we heard here tonight was folks wanting to understand and wanting to hear and us to be more transparent. That's what I'm trying to do here with folks tonight. To understand your new tax bill usually doesn't come out until August. It was brought up at the last meeting, so I feel it had to be addressed here. I know as a council member, and I know everyone sitting here as council people, are proud that we were able to see this happen. I've been in the same house for almost 44 years, and the tax reductions in this city have been few and far between. So if we can enable this to happen for you, we're proud that we can make this happen. And we hope that you can look forward to more stable budgets from both the school and the city in the future, and better tax rates due to some of the redevelopment as well that's going on. If you have any question about any of this, you want to stay after and ask me, I'm more than willing to stay. You want to contact me through the city manager's office, I'd be happy to answer your questions. Thank you and have a good night.
Ms. Killing-Geddes.
Yes. Well, first I want to thank all of you who came out tonight in my support. It means a whole lot. And I'd like to also encourage you to come more often. Give your sister a little support up here. But I want to amplify my statement on the issue surrounding Lieutenant Price's rescinded promotion and the reactions from the mayor and deputy mayor that were printed in the local newspaper. First of all, neither bothered to explain to the community as a press release about the issue surrounding Lieutenant Price's promotion, even though they had ample time to address the matter and offer apologies for what occurred. Because of this, I believed, as a co-equal member of the city council, that I had a right and an obligation to address the issue to the community. I spoke out because I can't remember an incident in recent years that has affected people the way that this incident has. The people of this community felt betrayed, they feel betrayed, and the magnitude of the situation deserved a statement to the press from the council. Second, I've been on the council since November, and I'm concerned about how little input from the council majority about agenda items presented to us by the city manager. It is often difficult to get a full story about what we have to vote on. My job as a councilwoman becomes harder when I have to dig around to get facts about the implications of something I have to approve or disapprove. The full council should have all the information at its disposal and an explanation of why any issues appear on the agenda for a vote by the council. Now, I think it was in the second article when the public was told that the appointment of Lieutenant Price was provisional, but nobody said why it was provisional. Provisional can mean almost anything. Who would have thought it was because of test results? That was important information that was left out. Now, did the mayor and deputy mayor announce at the March 8th celebratory promotion meeting that this was a provisional promotion? No. They never announced to the crowd it was provisional and why it was provisional. So why couldn't this promotion wait the 2 to 3 weeks when the test results were in? When I asked who orchestrated the celebration for Lieutenant Price, the response to me was members of the community. If that's true, how come all the members of the council didn't know about it? It is unacceptable for information to be withheld from council members. How do members of the community dictate what happens in council chambers? Finally, I'd like to remind all that each of us has 1/5 of a vote, which entitles me to all information, not a portion of it. Transparency is imperative, and this also applies toward the community. I thank you all for your support, and please know that there was nothing political about my actions. I merely addressed the sentiment of the community.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Trost, do you have something to say?
Pastor Jackson, thanks for staying, because we did spend a lot of time on the phone. And I did spend a lot of time with another pastor of the black community, Pastor Manning Fontaine, or Manning. And I told her, and I told you exactly what happened. So now I'll tell you, which I believe was told numerous times at council meetings. As most of you know, I am the appointing authority because I'm the city manager. The city was anticipating Director Mordag is leaving. In fact, he was going to be leaving by the end of the year. We found out that we needed to assign a new officer in charge because the current officer in charge at that time had some family issues. What comes first? Family? Maybe God first and then family? He had some family issues to attend for, and he could not proceed to do his job as officer in charge. So I asked Director Mordaga to stay on longer. What do? We have a crop of lieutenants that had just taken the written test in the fall. Oral test is later. Anybody that deals with civil service knows how long it can take. Months. Thank you, years. Do I like civil service? No, I don't. Once you're in it as a community, there's no way to get out. So I had a devoid of leadership at the top. So the interview process was conducted by myself, the personnel director, Simeon Cumberbatch, who refers himself as an American who happens to be black, who served 29 years on the Hoboken Police Department, rose to the rank of captain. He retired in 2002, so he's seen it all. Ask him, he lives in Hackensack. His daughter graduated from Hackensack High. We also brought in a former police chief, Dennis Connell, who has a doctorate degree and teaches at FDU. We interviewed the available lieutenants that had taken the test. One lieutenant chose not to interview because he did not like the word provisional, and he knew what it meant. It meant it was temporary depending on the results of the test. So he chose not to interview. The others did, knowing full well that it was provisional. Lieutenant Price had the demeanor and the professional attitude and knew what had to be done for this police department to serve this community. One question I asked him was, how do you fix the police department? What would you do? What would be your first step? You know what his answer was? We need more qualified sergeants who are in the field every day. I heard that. That's my guy, because nobody else had that answer. So, With his consent, I made him the provisional captain along with several other captains. With their full knowledge, they had to pass that oral test. I chose the right man, and I still stand by that. This was not a civil service town. Captain Price would be the officer in charge of this police department. Unfortunately, the list was published, and he didn't pass it. Currently, the police department is under great stress and strain. This continued dialogue on the judgment and personal character of people who chose Lieutenant Price and Lieutenant Price himself from a pool of viable candidates casts a negative cloud over the entire city. Lieutenant Price.
Mrs. DePasqua, please, you're very rude. Please. Thank you. You're quite welcome.
This cloud in no way reflects the character of Lieutenant Price, who he will always be in my mind, Captain Price. He accepted the position knowing that he had to pass that final test. He accepted the title. He assumed the leadership position for approximately 6 weeks. There was no ulterior motive other than to have him be the leader, and he accepted it. To further address this issue, the Department of the New Jersey Civil Service is supposedly a neutral mandated state testing process. Okay? That's what it is. And like I was quoted earlier in the press several weeks ago, David Trost disagreed with the state of New Jersey. That's not uncommon. I disagree with him all the time. And in this time, I really disagree with him. The thought that the decision to place Lieutenant Price into the officer in charge was based on the information we had at the time, and we needed an officer in charge. We were getting letters from the Fraternal Order of Police, which is the police union, saying that we were not acting appropriately. I needed to appoint someone. We went through a process. Yeah, we were waiting on the state test results. Yeah, we were. I couldn't wait. We could not have a rudderless ship. The allegation that this was done to embarrass him is false and misleading. If anybody does any background check on me, I have nieces and nephews from 5 different countries. I'm the least prejudiced person you'll ever want to meet. In fact, when my Dominican niece read it in the newspaper, they go, Uncle David, they're like calling you a racist. How is that possible? Yeah, it is about me because I'm getting accused of something that is wrong. This is a quote from Simeon Cumberbatch, Director of Personnel, one of Hackensack's own. Once the list was published, I witnessed the anguish of Mr. Trost once he was apprised of the officer's failure. He even went so far as to seek to challenge the civil service on their testing procedures and asked the lieutenant if he wanted to engage in a lawsuit against civil service. He was heartbroken when he had to confront Lieutenant Price about his having to reduce his rank now that the list was published. Now, this is Simeon Cumberbatch. This is his words. I personally take umbrage to the assertion that there was something done to the lieutenant when I was part of the process. It is time for this community to move on. I apologize for what I thought was doing the right thing. Because that's what I always try to do, is the right thing. In my mind, Lieutenant Price still is Captain Price. I can't change that, because the state of New Jersey has certain rules and regulations that we have to live by. And I respect that as well. Our police department needs our support. They have my support. They have Jim Price's support. They still have his leadership as a lieutenant. He is a ranking officer that does have a lot to say. Whether we go with the police director or not, my decision is we have transitioned into allowing people that are qualified captains to take the helm. Captain Aquila is there doing his job. He's doing a fine job. The police officers are doing the best they can. Are they going to make mistakes? Yeah, who doesn't? Tell me who doesn't. So, I'm asking you to take my apology. I thought I was doing the right thing. And if you think I wasn't, I'll take the blame. Mayor, that's it.
Thank you. Rough night, folks. And I'm glad you're all here. And there's some reasons. I mean, there's been public apologies. We know that. As far as putting a press release out, I don't know if that's what, and a lot of that, I understand you're coming as the community has nothing to do with Mr. Price himself. But when Mr. Price has echoed through the city manager to please drop this and let it go, I listened to his wishes, okay? There were 3 meetings since this incident happened, and there's been no outcry from the community, okay? This is the first one, and this is a reflection of the article in the paper. Let's face it, folks, if this article in the paper did not happen, you wouldn't be here. I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, but no one has really, there's been a few people come, but there has not been a huge outcry from the community like was reported. With that, while the record is here, John, I would like to publicly apologize, all right, for how this was handled. Though there was no bad intent here, it is just something that happened. Believe me, folks, we had no idea that Mr. Price was not going to pass this test. And we were told that night, I believe it's in the minutes, that these were provisional appointments the night of when he was promoted. Now I'm going to read a little bit about something. I wrote to read bits and pieces because some of it has changed in light of what has happened here tonight. And what I'm about to say is in response to the recent article in the Bergen Dispatch and the Bergen Record based on a letter sent to them by Councilwoman Kelly Keeling, sorry. There are several things about this article which I find to be unfactual, and to be quite honest, some of them were a little hypocritical. And I'm being totally honest and candid here, folks. Ms. Geddes in her letter said she found it necessary to address the community since no one else on the governing body has yet to take any responsibility. Now, there may have been some responsibility in not putting out a press release with an apology, but as far as not addressing the issue, that couldn't be further from the truth. And I refer to closed session minutes of 4/18/16, 4/27/16, and 5/3/16. On April 18th, that's okay, they've been accepted, correct? Not published?
They were discussed then. There was public apologies.
There were public apologies. The fact that she said nothing, I can tell you personally that I asked the city manager and the city attorney to please look into this on 2 different occasions, okay? And that, as you heard from our city attorney, is in process. Unfortunately, government doesn't work like this, and it takes a little time, especially when dealing with an agency like civil service. And I knew it could take some time, so I've not asked, since the 2 times I've asked, where we are with that. Ms. Keeling Geddes was present for both closed session meetings. where an investigation was called for. So her claims that no one else was doing anything are not true. In fact, when all present heard my request and did not object, they too become a requester as well, since we were all acting on behalf of the city. In her letter, she had hoped there would be a full and detailed explanation of this travesty. Yes, we are still waiting for an explanation, as you heard tonight, but I personally find it unreasonable and callous to me to go to the press in that manner. That's my opinion. She acknowledges herself that she had not yet asked the city manager to present the information, but she moved forward on her own by issuing a press release. And to my knowledge, the city did apologize several times to Lieutenant Price prior to Ms. Keeling-Geddes' apology. Let's talk about that night. These promotions weren't even on the docket, okay? They weren't on the docket. All of our police officers and fire officers come here for their promotions. They are sworn in, and they go on their way. That particular night was a different situation. I don't know whether some of you remember this or not. Number one, these promotions were done as a necessity to meet the table of organization requirements set forth by the state. And as the city manager had said, we were getting a lot of pressure from the FOP and some other groups. So he was working in the best interest of the city to fulfill some positions that needed to be filled. It's normal to do that. That particular night, most of the people were here for 4 ladies being honored for Women's History Month. All the women are principals in our public school system, and 3 of them happened to be African Americans, and it was a great night here when they were honored. This accounted for a large contingent from the African American community being present. Was Mr. Price being hailed as the first black officer in charge in the history of the city? Yes, absolutely. He should have been, and to not acknowledge that would have been the real travesty. The word provisional, again, meaning arranged or existing for the present, possibly to be changed later, was definitely told to the council before this meeting took place. One of the most disturbing comments to me in the letter is the rumored segments of the black community that the lieutenant was used as a pawn by those seeking to gain a political advantage with the African American community. There's only one response to that. If this administration, in thinking a black man who has come through our ranks of our police department and has, in our opinion, positioned himself to lead this department as the acting officer in charge is indeed a form of racism, then I'm guilty of racism. Because Mr. Price, we thought, was ready to take on that position, and we had true faith in him. And that's the most important part. So I don't know what part of political that is. Our goal is to, and if you've looked through our history, we have put more African Americans on board since we're here than past councils. We do have a department head who's an African American who actually does the hiring in the city. We are moving forward. This is not going to be an instant process. It takes time. You know it takes time. You people have been waiting a long time. And I don't mean you people. The African American community has been waiting a long time for this. We are trying to move forward with that. Okay? And I apologize the way that came out. You know that wasn't my intent. Not my intent, folks. Come on. Not at all. Again, I had said there was a few meetings since that time. Yes, a few people did speak out. I know Ms. Davis, I think, spoke out. Ms. DePasqua spoke out. Haven't, you know, if you had come, the people had come earlier about this. But seeing that Mr. Price had asked for this to be squashed and he did not want to pursue this, I was honoring his wishes as well as most of the council. Not okay. There was a challenge to address this issue by Ms. Geddes, and it's already been addressed. And if we did so, we're trying, without trying to cause more grief and heartache for Mr. Price and his family. I'm actually sorry that I had to do this publicly, as I know some of tonight's comments, and there's no way it's not going to get back to Mr. Price. He's a very private person. There's been like 4 articles in the newspaper on this situation, and to the newspapers, you guys got to have something else to write about that doesn't involve dragging a good man through the mud yet one more time. I want to close with a quote. I'm not going to close. I got a question to ask Mr. Haverty. You said we don't have leadership in the police department. If Mr. Price had passed this test, would you still say that?
Yeah, I would.
I don't believe that, because I think Mr. Aquila is qualified. I think Mr. Price is qualified. I totally disagree.
Can I respond to that, Mayor?
You could privately afterwards, you can respond to it. Sure. All right, go ahead and speak. I'll let you speak. Sure.
I'll say this. My experience has been this. Mr. Trost, it was in the paper in the last council meeting, Deputy Mayor backtracked on it. His plan was to have some type of rotation. Now, whether it was, I'll review somebody for 6 months, and if he doesn't work out, I'll put somebody else there, and we'll keep going until we find the right person.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership is understand that. If you didn't know, by the time you gentlemen were lieutenants, who was a leader, who could actually handle the job, then you didn't have it. You know by that time. And that's why I asked the question about how do we get here? Is there a policy? What are we doing to actually train people to be our leaders? If you did, I don't know Mr. Price. I hear very good things about him. I'm sure he's a fine man. I'm sure he's a fine lieutenant. He probably would have been a very good captain. But was he the chief of police? Was he the head of the agency? That's where you need leadership now. You need somebody to steer this agency. You need somebody to put in place policies so that we don't have the issue that we've had over the last 5, 6, 7 years. We can solve that problem if you have a singular person who understands what it takes and what's necessary to turn this agency around. I don't know if Mr. Price is that person.
Find someone.
I think there's,
Find somebody.
excuse me, I think we have some very qualified officers at the captain's level, and I think Mr. Price would have been a good leader. And just for the record, I spoke with a lot of police officers. His peers were very happy for him to get this position. His peers, the people he worked with, his, every day in and out work buddies, were very pleased that he was getting this position. And Mr. Aquila, it's time, he's got the helm now, and he's got to run the ship. But again, I apologize while the record is here, and I won't apologize for the rest of the council because I'll leave that to them. But I apologize for the way this was handled. There was no bad intent here. I have nothing but good things to say about Mr. Price. I feel bad. He's really had to get dragged through the mud on this situation. But and that's it. And again, I don't know how appointing this man became a political issue. I really don't. I don't see the politics here. I appreciate you coming tonight. I'm glad to see you all. Thank you. Motion to close.
Offer.
Second?
Roll call, or all in favor?
Aye.